Okay, hello. Good morning or afternoon or night. Um, Hope everyone's doing okay today. Hopefully better than not. Um, I'm doing alright, just kind of chilling this morning. Thinking of doing obviously some Umineko to start off with. And then I want to end off with some Catherine, so I'm thinking about what game to do in the middle. Maybe some Super Mario Sunshine. It's been a minute since I played some of that, so or maybe some Paper Mario, maybe some AI Somnium Files. Not really sure. A whole bunch of options. So yeah. Look forward to that, and why don't I get right into it? The guesthouse lobby was wrapped in silence. The strings of tension binding Kraus, Natsuhi, and Ava had already loosened, and they were completely worn out, with their minds beginning to waver. Every once in a while, they would stand up and walk around pointlessly, as though fighting their drowsiness. Why don't you guys take turns sleeping?
大丈夫ですか、エヴァさん。やはり無理をせず休んでいてください。大丈夫だって言ってるわ。もう大人は私たち3人しかいないのよ。休んでる暇なんかないわ。石にかじりついてでもここを死守するわよ。
She spoke bravely, but she couldn't hide her rough breathing. It seemed that the fever, which had been calmed with the medicine for a short time, had returned. It was very obvious that Ava's health was not good.
無理はするな。せめて目を閉じていたまえ。もし起こさねばならぬ時は必ず起こしてやるから。
だから平気だって言ってるわ。放っておいて。
It seemed she was already unwilling to budge. Kraus and Natsuhi realized that even if they talked to her anymore when she was like this, it wouldn't reach her ears. So without saying anything more, they decided to let her be. To Ava right now, even having an argument like that would be burdensome. It would probably be better for her body if she just sat there with her mouth closed. In truth, Ava was just a step away from being beaten down by drowsiness. Perhaps she shot back at them with a temper because she was trying to rouse herself and throw off her sleepiness. The clock would be pointing to 6 o'clock in the afternoon very soon. She'd had several snacks to distract herself from her drowsiness, so she didn't feel hungry, but now her lack of sleep made it feel like it was 6 in the morning, not the afternoon. Even supposing that the boat came precisely at 9 in the morning tomorrow, they still had more than 12 full hours to go. It was an overwhelmingly long stretch of time. Long, painful, hot. Even the sound of the clock torments my body now. In times like this, when that person puts his hand on my forehead, the fever fades at once. But that person no longer exists. As Ava's mind grew foggy, she was once again gripped by a deep sadness. She had already cried herself dry. Even so, the sadness of losing her beloved husband had not been
私
exhausted.
は間違っていたんだわ。どうして？
The new witch and Ava were fundamentally the same being. If Ava talked to her, she would always respond.
私は後宮家の当主の座さえ得られればそれで満足のはずだった。それがあの黄金の山を見た途端に欲が増えたの。あの黄金の山を独り占めしたい気持ちに駆られた。
それは恥じることでも何でもないわ。だって後宮家の当主として当然の権利じゃない。他の誰にも黄金のひとかけらだって譲るものかってのよ。
I like this music.
私がその誘惑にとらわれたからあなたが生まれてしまったんだわ。あなたは自分勝手でしかない私のよこしまな心でもあった。そのあなたがあの黄金の山によって芽生えた私の愚かな欲望のせいで私の胸という卵の殻を破りこの世に生まれ出てしまった。あなたを産んだのは私の責任。
なら私が殺したローザとマリアも、そしてルドルフとキリエと秀吉もあなたの責任ってことになるわ。
どうしてうちの人まで殺したのよ。どうして
秀吉を殺す気はなかったわ。だってうるさくてしつこかったんだもの。その意味では私たちの、いえ、あなたの責任ね。あんなのを旦那に選んだあなたの責任だわ。
あなたみたいな子供にあの人の良さはわからないわよ。
So sad.
何よ、私たちは魔法で夢を叶えたのよ。気分の謎を解いたわ。そして黄金を見つけ当主の指輪を手にしたわ。全ての夢を叶えきったわ。それがなんで不満なの？
それだけが全ての夢なんかじゃないわ。あの人と素敵な人生を歩んでジョージに素晴らしい人生を託す。妻として母としてそれなのに
それなのに。
それはあなたが大人になってから勝手に増やした夢だわ。私たちの夢じゃない。
だからあなたは子供なのよ。自分さえ良ければいいの？そうよ。全て私が悪いのよ。あの時ローザの言うことにどうして私は反抗したの？どうして兄弟みんなに黄金を見つけたと発表できなかったの？全て私が醜いから黄金を独り占めしたくて芽生えさせたよこしまな心があなたを孵化させてしまった。
ひどい嫌われようだわ。私たちは二人で後ろ宮エヴァの。
いいえ、もうそしてそれはあなたが言ったのよ。私は後ろ宮エヴァ、そしてあなたは黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェよ。だからもう消えて。魔女なんておとぎ話の中にしか存在できない妄想よ、幻想よ。あなたなんか消えてしまえ。二度と私の前に現れないで。
ああ、そう。わかったわ。あなたの前から消えてあげるわ。そして私はもう後ろ宮エヴァじゃない。これからは黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェよ。もう好き勝手に遊んでやるんだから。あんたなんて知らないわ。へそでもかんで勝手に死んじゃえば。
After having a very childlike tantrum, the witch who had once been another Ava vanished. Only Ava was left behind in the darkness, and she questioned
私な
herself.
の。私が彼らを殺あの人を殺してしまったのも私が殺してしまったの。
She could no longer answer that question herself. It seemed that, half asleep, she had gotten some saliva caught in her windpipe just as she was dozing off. Ava suddenly started coughing.
大丈夫かエヴァ。夏日、水を頼む。
はい。
It is interesting that, like, it brought them way closer together. Like, Natsuhi and Kraus, like, obviously do care about Ava and don't want her to be, like, in pain or anything. And I think Ava showing her vulnerable side and how much she loves Hideyoshi really made them realize that like she has way more to her than just being an evil bitch, basically. And so maybe eventually all the siblings can bond like that and like find the better sides of themselves to help each other out. That would be nice.
大丈夫だってば。ちょっとむせちゃっただけなんだか。
Ava pushed away Natsui's hand as she tried to rub her back and unsteadily rose to her feet.
顔洗ってくるわ。ごめんなさいね、寝ちゃってたわ。戻ってきたらまたコーヒーを入れるわね。特に濃い、明日の朝まで眠気が来なくなるようなやつを。
頼む。ゴーダの入れるコーヒーよりお前が入れるコーヒーの方が
He's
私の好み
trying
に
to
合う
be,
からな。
he realizes that it's no use with someone like Ava to tell her to go to sleep even though he's concerned, so he's trying to support her like this, and he's like, you know, your coffee's way better than Goda. Goda doesn't know shit, you know, like, yeah, please do that.
お世辞でも嬉しいわ。
See? He really wants to make her feel better.
すぐ戻るわ。
Ava exited the lobby, heading for the bathroom. Kraus and Natsuhi watched over her frail back.
あなたもあれだけ犬猿の中だったエヴァさんに気を使うこともあるのですね。
本来兄とはこういうものではないのかね。
ええ、それで正しいと思います。
エヴァに限らん。
Oh, here we
ルド
go.
ルフにもローザにも私がした兄らしいことといえばそれを王兵に語り彼らをいじめただ
Is
け
he
だ。
finally learning?
父のようになりたくて私なりに必死だった。だがいつもそれは及ばずそのはけ口を彼らに向けてしまった。しかしそれは言い訳にならん。エヴァにもまだ傷が癒えぬほどに深い心の傷を負わせ
I'm
てしま
glad
っ
he
ただろう。
finally realized how much he affected them.
悔いているが今さらそれを詫びたところでその傷が癒えるわけもない。
あなたがその気持ちを今だけでなく持ちつつ、その気持ちはきっと他の兄弟たちにも
Yeah,
伝わり
Natsuhi
ま
is
すよ。
exactly right.
今となっては他の兄弟もエヴァを残すのみだ。
Yeah, so work extra hard for her, okay?
もし
Even though they're about to die by
あな
Ava,
たのご兄弟が生
Ava
ま
and
れた家が
Beatrice, at least they
後ろ宮家
realized
で
this
さえ
before
なか
they
ったなら
died.
もっともっと普通な
Oh, true.
楽しい兄弟の関係であったでしょうに。
それを言ってはならん。エヴァは生涯私を憎み続けるだろう。そしてその資格がある。私はそれを甘んじて受け止めるつもりだ。
あなた、
エヴァ、すまん。もちろん許さなくていい。
もちろん許さないわ。何を今さら。
Yep, I knew this was about to happen.
悪いと思ったなら今すぐへそでも噛んで死んじゃえば。やっちゃえシエスタ姉妹。
Oh, I'm about to appear, baby.
45射撃許可治療。射撃曲線再確認。飛行誤差修正。410データリンク。410データ受領。射撃許可確認。にひひひひ射撃。
Together, the sisters released their magical bowstring they had readied. A beautiful tail trailed behind the gold arrow, and it drew a lovely curve as it flew. It was just like a gold snake. It skillfully avoided a grove of trees and flew towards the front door of the guest house. Then it flew into the keyhole of the door and snuck into the guest house without any problem at all. The gold snake raced down the hall smoothly, yet as fast as an arrow. Right before it was the door to the lobby. When it flew into the keyhole, Kraus and Natsuhi were all ready. For an instant, Kraus thought he saw a gold-colored sparkle on the keyhole on the door. However, at the same time as he strained his eyes to see what it was, that sparkle bent like a whip and attacked, wrapping itself around Kraus's neck. Just looking at it, the gold snake seemed very supple. However, it was as though a wire had tightened around Kraus's neck. And while that snake choked Kraus, it extended even more and tightened around Natsuhi's neck. Without even a chance to scream, their eyes bulged as they went into convulsions and collapse.
45命中および死亡確認。牽引曲線形成補正点修正。410へデータリンク。410データ受領。死体牽引開始。2匹も釣れたに2匹。
The gold snake began to drag Kraus and Natsuhi's bodies back. They slipped through the door in the corridor, dragging the bodies, gradually increasing speed, and rapidly pulled them outside the guest house. So the lobby was silent, as though nothing had happened, as though Kraus and Natsuhi had not been there since the beginning. Only the sound of the wind and the rain remained, as though they were playing dumb and pretending to be the only ones there.
ごめんなさい。もう大丈夫よ。今コーヒーを入れるわね。
Ava returned from the bathroom, but no one was in the lobby. Even though they had supposedly been in that sofa until the moment she had choked and gone to the bathroom, they were gone, as if they'd been an illusion from the beginning.
不用心ね。二人揃ってどこに行っちゃったの？
Ava put her hand on the sofa as though acting out a scene from a detective novel. She felt a warmth that meant they'd been sitting there until a short while ago. Maybe they went to do rounds or something. For the time being, Ava sat down and waited for their return. I'm surprised that she wasn't on edge in this situation about them being gone. Maybe because she just calmed down. Beato and George could be seen in the parlor of the mansion. George was kneeling near Shannon's body as though praying. His face was serious, and I forgot that these two were doing this, honestly. And there was even sweat on his forehead. However, Beato was the same. Now that she had handed her name over, most of her previous power had been lost. Of course, she still had more than enough power to be called a witch, but compared to the past, it was a very faint thing.
いいぞ。声をかけるな。手で触れるな。心の声で呼べよ。心の手で求めよ。
Beato's trying really hard for George.
そなたの強き思いだけがシャノンの失われた魂わら
George kept praying earnestly and silently. He kept frantically yelling inside his heart, trying to call back the soul of the person he loved. He strongly envisioned his soul leaving his body and searching for her as she wandered through the land of the dead. Beato turned that strong force into magical power that supplemented her own magic. This was magic that in the past she could have performed easily without anyone's help, but now if she didn't rely on someone's assistance, she wouldn't be able to finish the chant, much less succeed.
数百年近くも魔法と反言とはこんなにも辛い魔法であったか。
Beato was wearing an even more strained expression than George. It had slipped her mind, but originally the magic to revive a life was the ultimate hidden art. The abnormal thing was her previous magical power, which could be used over and over with the snap of her fingers. So the heavy burden on her body and her mind was, fundamentally speaking, extremely natural.
しかしこやつめの力魔法を知らぬというのにかなりのものなる さすがは金蔵の孫といったところか。
The strong energy pouring from George was large enough to act as magical power. At first, Beato thought it must be the blood of Kingzo the sorcerer. However, that probably wasn't it. She had a feeling that Battler had already told her what it was. It had been born from the power of George's sadness at the death of the person he loved, and from the way he had tried his hardest throughout his life. And his mom is a witch. From the warm time spent together with Shannon to the size of the dream they swore to protect in the future. Is it really possible for humans to take life so seriously? Yes. Even though they only had a single one? That's why they take it so seriously, silly. It was only natural. To her, life didn't mean anything more than the difference between the top and the bottom of an Othello piece. If the black represents death, and then she thought all you had to do was flip it over again and make it white. However, it was just like that broken vase. To humans in a world without magic, where they cannot return things to their original form, it's very, very natural for them to bet their life and soul.
生死すら自在にする無限の魔女、死の山さえ越えられぬ有限の人間に劣ることもあるというのか。
This time, the witch acknowledged it. He was able to hold a magical power that could never reside in the witches who didn't understand the value of life. Why does this thing called endless magic exist? Even though I called myself the Endless Witch, did I forget what the endless magic means for 1,000 years? He looked at George's expression again. His surging earnestness was like a lightning bolt. Right now, even if George's body had been burned or smashed by a waterfall, he would probably continue to pray for his beloved without minding it, without noticing it. For the first time, she showed respect for that power. So in that instant, all the magical resistance was lost, and the enormous power of George's feelings turned into magical energy in its complete form. The vase was very beautiful, rich with history and value. Even as young as I was, it still forced me to take a deep breath when I witnessed its beauty. But that just made me want to touch it. But the vase easily fell and smashed to pieces, like a bubble that had popped. It felt as though the time it possessed a form had just been an illusion. Lives are just that fragile, and just that easily lost. I realized that my foolish curiosity had led to something that couldn't be undone. No matter how much I regretted it, no matter how much I apologized, the smashed vase wouldn't return back to its original form. A lost life would not return to normal no matter what happens. I was frightened that, even though my actions had been thoughtless and careless, they had stolen away a life that could never be revived again. Then I pitied the lost life and cried. I was frightened of myself, the one responsible for its loss, and cried even more. I'm sure grandfather will also cry at the loss of his precious face. I'm sure that all the people who loved grandfather and see him like that will cry. With the loss of a single life, the whole world can be filled with so much sadness. I cried even more at how terrible that was. Beatrice appeared and spoke.
ならばお嬢様、この壺を魔法でよみがえらせましょう。それで皆が幸せになれるなら、壺も魔法も精霊たちも喜んでそのために力を貸し、元の姿を取り戻すでしょう。さあさあ、お嬢様、目を閉じて私と一緒にお歌を歌いましょう。さあさあ、目を閉じてごらんなさい。そして思い出してごらんなさい。あなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。それはきっととてもとても美しい姿。どうか私にあの姿をもう一度見せておくれ。
Those words of power knocked forcefully on the door of the land of the dead. The magic of her old self had performed the same forceful knock. However, doing it that way was horribly violent, and near the displeasure of the peacefully sleeping dead, but this time was different. It was very forceful, yet gentle and loving. The dead near the door opened their eyes and called out to the others that there was a voice calling for someone to come back. The sadness of that voice calling from the outside touched the hearts of the dead, and trying to respond as quickly as possible, they searched for Shannon's lost soul. Aww. And then they found it. They found the casket in which Shannon was peacefully sleeping. It truly was Shannon's soul sleeping in the land of the dead. Inside the casket that was covered with rose flowers frozen in with frost, she was sleeping in peace. The dead silently lifted that casket up. While at a glance it looked like a funeral march, it had the complete opposite meaning. It was solemn but filled with joy. The long-forgotten dead were made to remember that they were loved after their deaths, and they were all given a warm sense of peace. Then, as though guided by a warm light from the heavens, Shannon's body floated up out of the casket. The dead watched her go. They squinted at that warm light, offering their respects to this unknown member of the living, who had not lost his love for a person even after their death. Shannon's body was enveloped in the light from the heavens and began to disappear. In the jet-black darkness of the land of the dead, the faint flickering of gold butterflies could be seen. It reminded them of the gentle stars in the night sky, which they had long forgotten. George remembered being told that he must not say anything, and he hurriedly covered his mouth. However, it felt like his heart was trying to jump into his throat, because he had seen Shannon's eyelids shake slightly. Then those eyelids slowly opened. Shannon's eyes were there, but they were still wrapped in the fog of the land of the dead. However, the human world's warmth, no, her lover's warmth, which had called back her soul, slowly dissolved that fog, and her eyes gradually regained their sparkle. Then her eyes moved and recognized George.
George-san.
Oh my god, Merc, hello! I'm on episode 3 right now. Right now, Beato and George are trying to revive Shannon. Well, they actually just revived her. Like, she just opened her eyes, like, right now. I hope you're doing well, though. I don't know if you can see, I have a new overlay, and, there's cute little gifts everywhere. It's really cute. So I hope you like it. I love it so much. But yeah, it's a very touching moment. And earlier I was very touched by, even before he revealed it, I could tell that just Kraus making that comment about the coffee, before Ava even responded, I was like, he knows that Ava's the type to not... Oh, you're not feeling well? I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better soon. I'm glad you like the overlay, at least. I hope the overlay makes you feel better. But, I could tell that Kraus knew that Ava would not respond to, like, his care of saying, like, you should really get some sleep. And, sleepy. And that, she would respond much better to her encouraging her, so it was really nice of him to be like, oh yeah, please do get some coffee. Oh, and by the way, yours is way better than Goda-san's. And I was like, that was really sweet of him. Like, I know he's really trying hard to correct. And I was even thinking about this before that happened, that, it's interesting that this is bringing the siblings together, and I hope that, because I was saying that Kraus and Natsuhi had seen the vulnerability of Ava and this other side to her that's not like just an evil bitch, you know what I mean? Like her love for her husband, how worried she is, like her love for her children, you know what I mean? Like it really showed them a different side to her, and it made Natsuhi really want to connect with her, which, you know, even further reflecting, showing how much Ava and Natsuhi used to not get along. It really shows how kind Natsuhi is and how much she just wants to. Natsuhi's such a people pleaser. Yeah, so I think Ava and Hideyoshi's relationship is so touching and just so beautiful. It's really adorable. Excuse me, adorable. Ava and Natsuhi, to be honest. Oh my god, true! But Hideyoshi is so kind to Ava. Oh my god, he's so kind to her. But Ava and Natsuhi, oh my god, imagine. Yeah, Rosa and Beatrice for real. That's my number one ship. Rosa and Beatrice. I know Hideyoshi treats her like a princess. Like, he's so sweet to her. Okay, let's get back into it. As her lips shook weakly, Shannon definitely said that. Those words were very faint. George-san! So much that they normally wouldn't have reached his ears, however George clearly heard them. He heard the person he cared for, his fiancé, the one he loved most and who should have been dead, call his name once again.
シャノ、僕がわかるかい?
She just said your name, dumbass. What do you mean?
ジョージさん、これは夢なの？
いや、これは夢じゃないよ。だからほら、つねっても冷めないよ。
As George said that, he softly pinched Shannon's cheek. It was how George had always responded in the past when Shannon had been surprised by something and had asked if she was dreaming. That's cute. When Shannon felt the warm touch of George's finger on her cheek, she spasmed. I'm just kidding. Her whole body started spasming and she went into epileptic shock. I'm sorry, I'm kidding. And when George realized that the warmth of the living had already returned to his beloved person's cheek, they both cried. Oh, wow. I mean, I can't really imagine losing your beloved and then them getting revived, how that would feel. I genuinely can't imagine that. Like, I imagine better than anything in the world. What words should a pair of lovers separated by death celebrate when they are reunited? Just kiss. Hello. The words of the human world are not enough. In short, they had no need of the words of this world. George simply hugged Shannon, who was sitting up without talking. Shannon's strength was still feeble, and putting her arms around George's back took all she had. So George hugged her tightly to make up for that. Yeah, that is an insane number of emotions. Like, I can't even imagine that. It's just insane. To stop each other from going once more to a place the other's hand couldn't reach. They hugged each other so tightly and yet gently as Shannon's fingers curled around George's back. On her ring finger, the engagement ring George had given her definitely shone. Well, duh. We all Ben knew she'd never take that engagement ring off. George is just an insecure fuck. Fuck you, George! Anyways, the strong glint certainly wasn't just the sparkle of diamond. I wanna like this couple, but I can't because I don't like George. Like, I can't. I just can't. I'm trying. Like, I don't even think George is a bad person. I don't like when he argues. That pisses me off. Anyways, sorry. There was definitely a magical power that only two lovers could possibly feel. It was because of that strong light existed that they had been able to find her casket in the land of the dead. Do you not hate George anymore? But I see. I mean, I don't hate him, but I don't like him. Like, let me put it this way. He's no Goda, you know? He's no Goda-san, but he's also not my Beato, you know what I'm saying? He's not my, you know who's one of my favorites, who's such a fucking stupid, dumb, womanizing dumbass, is Rudolph. Oh, I love that man. He's so stupid, but I love that man. When he was fucking flirting with Lucifer, I couldn't. I was like, or was it Belphegor? Maybe it was Belphegor, sorry. I was like, you're so stupid. I love you, you womanizing idiot. Also, Kirie-san, I knew there was another side of her, but I was like, oh. I bet Battler would never like her, or would not like her if he knew all that. I love him so much. He's so fine and stupid. I don't know how I feel about Kirie, honestly. I don't know how I feel about her. And all the like, I understand where she's coming from, where apparently the woman took her from him, but also Rudolph made that choice to fuck her. Like, he made that choice to impregnate her. It's not all her fault. And also, like, I don't know. Battler, like, the fact that she's so spiteful to Battler, I'm like, fuck you. He thinks of you as a sister. But, which is why I don't know. Maybe I need to know more about the situation. But from what I know of the situation, I don't feel good about Kirie. Bieto, excuse me, understood. That ring, no. The feelings of the pair embodied in that ring were a miracle made real. In that moment, George definitely used magic. Bieto had done nothing more than help him along. The magic had a power that could only reside in those who knew the importance of life, who knew what it meant to try with all one's might. Everyone is very complex and sexy and also terrible. Yeah. Like, here's what I'm saying. The reason why Rosa and Beato is even better is because Beato likes Maria, and Beato can teach Rosa to not be an abusive dumbass, because Beato can parent Maria in a kind way. Because remember when she told her about the umbrella, and then Rosa kept using the umbrella more, and like, you know what I mean? Like, they could, and then when her and Rosa were walking together outside of her, like, dungeon, like, for the first time, well, it wasn't literally a dungeon, but, you know, the place she had lived her whole life, and her being like, oh my god, is that a leaf? What is that? What? And her Rosa being like, this cute fucking, I have such a crush on her, she's so cute. And her being like, yeah, I'll take you to I'll take you all these places, baby. I'll take you anywhere, baby, for you. I'm like, yes, lesbians! Anyways, I had to get that out of my system. It was the power of a miracle, one that the Endless Witch couldn't possibly know of. A miracle that only the power of the finite could give rise to. But now she had no choice but to accept it. She had to accept that true magic, true magical power, exists in the place furthest away from who she called herself a great witch.
ベアトリーチェ様。
彼女が君を生き返らせてくれたんだ。ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。
わらわは何もできなかった。シャノンをよみがえらせたのは、そなたの魔力、そなたの魔法、奇跡を成し遂げる後宮の血。確かに見届けさせてもらったぞ。
ジョージさんが私を。
わらわなど足元にも及ばぬほどの凄まじきわらわなどはまだまだ見習いの域を出ぬか。今こそ身の程を知ろうぞ。
Oh, Beato. Beato staggered backwards. Her physical strength was clearly exhausted. She had humbly said that George's power alone had revived Shannon, but Beato had also used all of her magical and physical strength. Oh my god, catch her, Shannon! Lift her up and be friends with her again. And she reflected upon how difficult it was to revive a single life, something she'd been able to play around with however she wanted to in the past. They're not even helping her? Bitch. Bitch. The couple kept on embracing each other tightly. By doing that, those feelings that couldn't be communicated with a billion words were shared.
ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。君は僕たちの恩人だ。
ありがとうございます、ベアトリーチェ様。再びジョージ様に会わせてくださったこのご恩を決して忘れません。
よせよせ、愛し合う二人に感謝されては下道の極みと恐れられたわらわにはくすぐったすぎるというものよ。わらわのことは気にするな、存分に再会を。
Aw, Bieto. Bubba. Bubba! Bubba just wants a friend. Bieto, who was leaning with her back against the wall, slid down the wall and sat. How many centuries had it been since she last grew this tired from using magic? I probably haven't been this tired since the last time I first succeeded in magic. Didn't teacher praise me that time? Oh, but didn't I kill that same teacher who praised me? Why don't you revive her next? Don't be so naive, Beatrice. Isn't that what killing means?
ようやく魔法の使い方を思い出したようですね。
Oh, she's so happy that she's being praised by her teacher.
思い出すもへちまもねえぜ。それよりあんた殺したじゃねえかよ。現れるんじゃねえよ。あなたが未だに私を生かしていますよ。だからこうして現れられます。もっともあなたの頭を撫でに来たわけでもありませんが、無様なわらわをわざわざ嘲笑いに来たかよ。
No, Beato, dummy.
それに隠居までした魔女が今さら頭なんか撫でられちゃ。そうですね、一人前どころか現役を退いたと豪語するあなたなのに、今頃になって魔法の使い方を覚えたなど恥ずかしくて誰にも言えませんね。だな、内緒にしてくれよ、お師匠様。
Beato gazed at the couple hugging each other with a sense of pleasant despondency.
愛か。勝てねえな。
Fall in love with Rosa.
45データ治療
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
射撃準備完了。
It's me though. Look, it's me. She's me.
弾種選定装填
I'm just following orders. Don't blame me.
410射撃
Look, there I am. She's literally me.
にひ
Oh no. The gold snake arrow fired by the Chiesters. Weaved its way through the bushes in the rose garden, weaved its way through the hedges, and climbed the stone. I'm not clicking, it does it its own. Climbed the stone steps towards the mansion's entrance, aiming for the keyhole. Weaved its way through the corridors, and flew into the keyhole in the door of the parlor. It happened in an instant. One could hardly blame Beato, who was completely worn out, for not noticing it beforehand. Oh man. Yeah, I love how they made the other sister a cat character. That's so cute. Right before Beato's eyes, the snake flew through the keyhole, surrounded the two lovers, and pierced through the two hearts in a blink of an eye. Aww. Furthermore, the gold snake fiercely pierced a hole through Shannon's chest once more. The two hearts were pierced by that gold snake, no, by that gold sewing thread of the new brutal witch's furniture. And it had happened in an instant, mocking the amount of effort it had taken to revive Shannon. Before Beato's shocked eyes, the two fell over and landed on the floor.
ジョージ、シャノン。
ありがとう、ベアトリーチェ。わずかの間でも 合わせてくれてありがとう。
Aw, George spent his last breath thanking Beato and died alongside the one he loved. The gold snake, which still sewed the two into place, spun like a large cyclone, revolving around inside the parlor. It was searching for further prey in that room. Is it gonna hurt Beato? No. No! Get your hands off my woman! Then the tip of the snake met Beato's gaze. In that instant, Beato was prepared to die. Oh no! No! I'm gonna cry! Don't do this to me! Not my wife. Not my other wife! Stop! I'm sorry. At that moment, Virgilia stood in front of her, the fingers of both her hands drawing a seal. Instantly, the gold-colored leaf buried inside the parlor. It was like a blizzard of gold.
ベアト、今のうちに逃げて。シエスタの黄金球からは誰も逃れられない。
410標的疾患。200魔法機マシ。45了解。索敵変更対人画像追尾方式。標的再補足。410へデータリンク。410データ受領。すっとろいに先代様。来て来て来て。着弾。
Prey targeted by the Chiester sisters' golden bow did not escape. It could not be blocked. No magical barrier could ever dream of blocking it without being multi-layered. The gap opened during that instant of confusion caused by Virgilia's deception magic was Beato's only chance to escape. And it was the only chance to make the sisters confuse Virgilia for Beato. As Virgilia spread her arms wide, blocking the way of her beloved disciple. Aww. No, the gold snake pierced straight through her heart. After sneaking through the keyhole, the snake shot through George, Shannon, then Virgilia in an instant, completely failing to notice Beato as she used the instant to— I'm gonna cry. Beato's gonna try to revive her with love, I hope. Because she's like, no, this is the one person I've loved. As soon as Virgilia saw that Beato had gotten away, she died. I'm gonna cry. Like, I'm actually gonna cry. The strength left her body, like gold dust drifting through the wind, her form was erased. Stop! Beato completely erased all the traces of her magical power, became gold butterflies, and passed through the wall, escaping to the wind and rained outside. Oh, now she's like Battler, I just realized. She's her and Battler are gonna team up, maybe. Maybe Battler is gonna take pity on Beato. I'm so sad. Beato felt regret from the bottom of her heart. Why? Because she had been attacked by the new witch? Probably not. Of course she had hated losing her teacher. And even more importantly, Beato was enraged with the barbarism that had boorishly stolen away the reunion between two lovers. Beato had poured out almost all of her magic power to reunite them, even though the result had been a miracle. The time it took to seal that away had been so ridiculously short. Beato trembled at the barbarous cruelty that had brought about such an abrupt end. Besides, this was the true form of the act she herself had committed up until that point. So just as strongly as Beato hated the new witch, she also looked at her previous self with disgust. Go talk to Battler now, but now she had to escape. If she was targeted next, she would probably lose her life. To think that a chess player had descended, thinking they were like a god, only to be attacked by the pieces.
$45着弾確認標的資産間違いなく先代様を撃破しました。また私たちの撃墜気象が増えちまうね。にひ愛し合う2人引き裂いて1度合わせて2度 もう一度引き裂いて3度楽しめる。
Give me 1 second. Okay, thank you.
そのついでにあのクソうるさいババアまでさよならできて最高にご機嫌よ。ラノウェイ、文句ないわよね。
ございませんと、ベアトリーチェ様。
あいつは魔女の碑文の儀式を妨害したのよ。第一の番の生贄を勝手に蘇らせて私の儀式を妨害したわ。文句言われる筋合いなんかなんにもないわよ。
I know, Ava Beatrice is just, oh my gosh.
しかしずるいなあ。あいつは死体を残さないのね。あのババアも思いっきり何度も無限にいじめ殺して遊んでやろうと思ったのに。
I guess if they don't leave the corpse behind, at least they don't know that Beatrice got away.
ジョージが来てないわよ。いつ降りたのよ。
Oh, jeez.
いつ
Oh, it's this it's the bumping music. Let's go.
あれは何時くらいだったっけ？
確か4時か5時くらいだったかな。最低でも1時間以上は前だよ。
俺たち眠くなってその後は多分居眠りしてたし。でも多分ジェシカの言う通りだと思う。
I know, poor Ava.
1時間か2時間くらい前だった。
私もそのくらいの頃だと記憶しています。コーヒーのおかわりはいるかと聞かれましたからな。
Something hard to believe had happened. Apparently, when Aunt Ava had left for a second to wash her hands, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Nazi had disappeared. There's no way they went hiding somewhere. Of course, the doors and windows had all been Why is this so hard for me? Why is this so hard for me to say? Rigorously checked. Oh my god. My brain can't say that word. Rigorously? I can't. And all were locked from the inside. Not one of them was broken. And that wasn't just true for the first floor. The second floor was the same. Again, all the doors and the windows had locks built in a way that made it impossible to lock them from the outside. In other words, there was no way that Uncle Kraus and Aunt Nazi had gone outside. And yet they couldn't be found. Furthermore, they weren't the only ones who had disappeared, so George Aniki of all people. George Aniki had left saying he was going to get more coffee, and had gone downstairs more than an hour earlier. We'd assumed he was having a convo with Aunt Ava and the rest, but Aunt Ava, who had been in the lobby the whole time, said that no one had come down. Since all the doors and windows were locked from the inside, it was unthinkable that they had gone outside. However, 3 humans had evaporated from this barricaded guest house, which had become a perfect closed room. It's interesting that Beatrice, trying to help George, accidentally helped her with the chess game. In a situation like this, we couldn't imagine that this was because they were playing hide and seek and were trying to scare us with a prank. Wouldn't it be awesome if at the end, when Beato and Battler work together and Beato learns how to use real magic and she teaches Battler how to use it to revive Rudolph and Kyrie. Like eventually. Excuse me, eventually. I don't think it's going to happen in this chapter, but I think that could happen maybe. That'd be cool. It was probably reasonable to assume they'd be caught up in this crime. When Aunt Ava learned that her only son was missing, she had gone half insane, running from room to room and yelling his name. And Jessica, who suddenly lost both her parents, had chased after her. Cries of George, George, and Mom, Dad had continued to echo through the guest house for some time. I think George said something about wanting to see Shannon's dead face. It would be reasonable to assume he snuck out of the guest house and went to the mansion. I didn't have a clue about Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi. Did they see him leave and go to the mansion to search for him? Without even telling Ava? At this rate, it's only a matter of time before we start planning to leave the guest house to go search for them. When that time comes, I'll agree. We thought staying holed up at the guest house would be safe, which was why our big, happy group of 12 people locked themselves up here this morning. And yet now there's only 4 of us left. That means staying here is no guarantee of safety. However, there's one thing we can't afford to forget. All the doors and windows were locked from the inside. This is a closed room. How'd they manage to vanish from this place? We searched around thoroughly. However, we couldn't find any traces of someone hiding. The 3 of them had almost certainly been taken outside of the guest house.
どうやってでしょう。まさか隠し扉とかがあるとか。
隠し扉？
扉も窓も外から閉めることは構造上不可能です。釣り糸の類を使ってもこの構造では無理でしょうな。となれば扉や窓以外から出たと考えるのが妥当でしょう。
確かにそういう論法にもなるだろうよ。隠し扉が存在しないなんて断言は誰にもできない。しかしそういう発想に飛躍する前に俺はもっとシンプルな可能性も疑っ
と申しますと。
For some time, Battler had been opening windows, opening shutters, and checking outside. Repeating this for each window.
この窓は静かだな。なるほど。この窓は他と違って建物の構造上風が吹き込まないわけか。
そのようですな。こんなにも外は風雨なのに雨も風も入ってこないとは不思議な気持ちです。
南條先生、今窓を開けた時音を感じたかい？
いえ、気にはなりませんでしたな。よく油が効いていると思います。
つまり誰も見ていない廊下の窓からひょろっと抜け出すことは可能なわけだ。しかもこの窓なら風も吹き込まないから風圧でカーテンや扉が音を立てることもない。静かなもんさ。
Battler leaned forward and looked at the ground below. He was searching for some sign that George had jumped down, but at a glance he didn't see any mark on the grass in the middle of the pouring rain. Cause they flew down, bitch!
こういう窓が1階にもあるのかもしれない。誰にも気づかれずに表へ出ることは可能だぜ。
しかし扉はおろか窓は全て施錠されて鎧戸まで閉まっていましたぞ。 出ることは可能でも閉めることは不可能だ。
閉められるぜ。こうやってカチャンとな。
Battler closed the window and locked it as though this was perfectly obvious.
まさかバトラさんは。
最後に中の人間が鍵を閉めればこんな密室は朝飯前だ。
しかしそれではそれでは。
Nanjo turned pale and shook his head several times, because the thing Battler had said had forced him to face the fact that a fact that was frightening even to imagine.
俺の想像したトリックならな。しかしこんなトリックを使えば怪しまれる人物は極めて限定される。
He didn't want to say it in front of Nanjo, but after eliminating Jessica, who had been with him the whole time, only Nanjo and Eva could have done it.
私はそんなことをしませんぞ。
I don't know, I've never trusted Nanjo. He's too in the background. Like, we don't know enough about him. All we know is that he's a doctor who helps Kinzo. We don't know anything about him, and that's suspicious.
誓ってもいい。
となるとエヴァおばさんと南條先生のアリバイ合戦ってことになる。俺たちは二人とも怪しんでそれぞれを別々に監禁すればいいだけの話。逆に言えばこのトリックはもっと生存者が多ければ有効かもしれないが、これだけ人数が減った状況
Oh,
下
really?
で
You
は
think? Yeah, totally. They are, yeah. The more I think about it, the more you're totally right. No, on the contrary, there'd be a chance of having your own neck strangled using it. It would have to be more advantageous to make it look like the culprit was outside, to intentionally leave a door unlocked to break a window.
もしこの失踪劇が今日の昼にでも起これば俺は自信満々にこの説を発表しただろうよ。だがこの段階に至っては全然自信が持てないぜ。何なんだこいつは。一体何を意味してやがるんだこの密室はよ。
やはりその。
なんだい南條先生。思いつきでもいいから言ってくれよ。
Nanjo looked like he was trying to swallow his words, even though he thought of something, so I urged him on. After Dr. Nanjo refused several times, saying it was just a foolish idea, he finally said it out loud.
Yes.
I don't trust you. I don't trust whatever he's about to
やはり
say.
これは本当に魔女の仕業ではないのかと。
Oh, never mind. Never mind, he knows what's going on.
バカバカしい。魔女なんているわけがねえぜ。
魔女は私たちに訴えたい。
Unless... Okay, look. I obviously believe in all the magic and all the... Like, I think it's all that. I think that's what's doing the murders. But if that's not... If there has to be a human, right, that's doing all this stuff, Nanjo's looking so much more suspicious because the humans who's doing it is gonna want to make the witch thing look more realistic. So the fact that he's like being like, oh, I shouldn't say it, okay, here's what it is, like, that's so suspicious. I'm just saying.
人間にはできないことをやってのけるからこそ。
Like, I think it's the witch, obviously, but if I'm wrong...
自分を魔女だと認めさせたいに違いないのです。私はこのゲストハウス全体の密室からの失踪はそういう魔女からのメッセージだと感じています。
Sussy baka.
考えてはならないのです。意味なんてきっとないのです。私は恐ろしい。
He's like Kumasawa right now, who I just remembered that Kumasawa is apparently the predecessor. Which I don't... I'm just... Does that mean the predecessor was just like disguising herself as Kumasawa-san the whole time to look over Beatrice or something. As Dr. Nanjo shook with fear, it looked like he was trying to erase the fearsome thoughts that he kept imagining one after the other. Witch! Spooky! I cannot say. So I'm not, so it wasn't like explained, I'm not just like an idiot. I didn't know if it was like already known and I just like didn't understand. When we went down the stairs, Ava and Jessica were enraged and were each persistent in their desire to leave this place and search for their respective families. It was a desire that naturally hits those who could no longer see their family. Aunt Ava and Dr. Nanjo and me. Oh, Aunt Ava told Dr. Nanjo and me to stay here, but I shook my head and started walking. I don't want to deny or confirm in case I spoil. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. No, I totally understand. You're totally fine. I just wasn't sure. Like, I didn't know if it was like, like, I didn't know if it literally said it or not. I just be thinking, you know? I'm reflecting. Thank you though, Mark, I appreciate it.
ああ、行くならさっさと行こうぜ。もうこんなところに閉じこもってるのは真っ平さ。早く父さんや母さんやジョージ兄さんを探しに行こう。
The blood had risen to Jessica's head. I hope it doesn't set off her asthma. I always forget she has asthma until it comes up again.
残りたい人は勝手に残ってればいいわ。とにかく私たちは表を探してくるわ。
Probably sounds like I have asthma with how much I cough, but I'm just a smoker.
南條先生がどうする？
Excuse me.
一人で留守番してるかい？
いえ、私もご一緒させてください。
Rather than holding up alone in a guest house whose security was by no means guaranteed, it would be better to enter a danger zone as a group of 4 people. Ava had a gun. Moving separately from her was almost like asking to be made into the next victim. In this way, the 4 of us decided to leave the guest house. Even though it should have been safe to barricade ourselves here, we lost 8 people after doing so. It was almost as though it was a holding cell from which the sacrifices could be killed one after another. We removed the chain, unlocked the front door, and opened it. It was already pitch black. While there was some light outside that dimly lit the pathway, they didn't have enough power to pierce the darkness that some suspicious person might be hiding in.
行くわよ。遅れても知らないんだからね。
Still holding her gun, Aunt Ava dashed out without an umbrella. Jessica followed after her. After glancing at each other, Dr. Nanjo and I chased after them. What in the world is happening in this mansion on this island? I've just been shut up in the guest house with the rest of the cousins since yesterday, so I don't know anything about what's going on outside. Well, little do you know, Battler. Fucking everything has been happening. Literally everything. Just what is happening that I don't know about? Oh dear. Outside this room in the mansion on this island, everything is happening, everything is proceeding, and everything is ending without my knowing it. Somewhere in my heart, I've already started giving up. Most likely, not one of us will see tomorrow. Not one of us will see tomorrow morning. When the seagulls cry, no one will be left alive. Title card. This shit stressful. Is it 6 now? Oh no, it's 6:05. Let's keep going.
父さん、母さん、
Oh, she's fine.
こんなことを。
Okay, so now Ghost Cannon's gonna revive and hug her and console her. Excuse me. Jessica's woeful voice echoed through the rose garden. Perhaps it was the intuition of a person who lived on this island. After checking the part of the rose garden where Aunt Rose and Maria had fallen and seeing nothing, Jessica went to look to the arbor next. Normally, the arbor was probably a wonderful location to enjoy tea peacefully while appreciating the roses on a good sunny day. Ghost cannon, please! I know, poor Jessica. This poor bubby. She lost her love and her parents. At least George is dead with his love. He doesn't have... Poor Ava, too. Maybe even Kraus and Natsuhi had days when they relaxed and enjoyed their tea together here. In that arbor lay their corpses. At least they aren't drenched in the rain like Aunt Rosa and Maria had been. But there was no way I could say that out loud to Jessica at that moment. Battler,
どうなんだ
for fuck's sake.
南條先生。
考察ですな。ほらご覧なさい。首にくっきりと何か細いもので締めた跡が残っている。
だな。まさかこっちが主たる死因のわけはねえだろうよ。
Right there lay two stake-like weapons, decorated with occult design, which had been found driven into Uncle Krause's thigh area and near Aunt Natsuhi's calf. When we found these sticking out of my parents' forehead and chest, we decided to preserve the crime scene and leave them for the police, but Jessica didn't care about such matters and immediately pulled the stakes out of her parents' forsaken bodies.
これで頭、胸、腹、膝、足の5つをえぐられた死体が出たわけね。
Oops, sorry.
殺してやる
Something fell on my keyboard.
第8の番まではこれで終わったわ。続くは第9の番なの。魔女はよみがえり、誰も生き残れはしない。
上等だぜ。魔女が蘇るってことは犯人が堂々と姿を現してくれるってことなんだろう。何が誰も生き残れないだ。
Well, Beato didn't do this one.
私が殺してやる。父さんと母さんを殺した犯人をこの手で絶対に殺してや
I love how she assumes it's a man. Base Jessica. Jessica let her emotions flow out as she howled furiously. Excuse me. To avoid being crushed by grief, she could do nothing but resist it with anger.
まだジョージが見つかってないわ。ジェシカちゃんたちはここにいたければいるといい。私は屋敷へ行くわ。
エヴァさん、バラバラに行動してはいけない。
Oh my god, this music.
みんなで一緒に行動しなくては危険です。
兄さんたちはもうどうしようもないわ。でもジョージは
Or
ま
his
だどこか
wife.
で生きてい
They
るかも
don't
しれな
even
い。
call her Natsuhi.
ここで時間を潰してる暇はないのよ。
As Aunt Ava screamed this, Jessica glared at her. Ava had no more time to bother about the dead. She was more concerned about the safety of her only son, who had yet to be seen.
ジェシカちゃんはここでお父さんとお母さんのそばにいる。私はちょっと屋敷に行ってくるわ。バトラ君も南條先生もここにいてくれていい。
After arbitrarily saying this, Ava rushed out of the arbor. I called out to stop her, but there was no way she would listen. However, being alone in this situation meant nothing short of death. If we silently watched her leave, it would be the same as letting her die. Since Ava was unwilling to stop, we had no choice but to follow her. And while it might be cruel to say so, Kraus and Natsuhi were already dead, so there was nothing more we could do for them. In the end, we had no choice but to console Jessica and head for the mansion together. Fortunately, Jessica stood up. Perhaps she had been able to break free from her grief, but what had surfaced in its place was an expression like a demon's.
私がこの手でぶっ殺して必ず敵を取ってやる。行こうぜバトラー。犯人を見つけたら邪魔をするなよ。私が絶対に殺す。
俺も親父たちの仇があるんだ。悪いが早いもん勝ちだぜ。
そうだな。ぶっ殺してやろうぜ。
At my words, Jessica finally seemed to feel like we sympathized with her emotions. She still had that dark expression, but I felt like Jessica had regained some of her sanity. You love Jessica's VA? Yeah, it's so good. We took off, chasing after our Ava. Through the rose garden, up the stone steps, running at full speed towards the mansion, whose large, intimidating shadow flashed in the lightning. With this, the murders of the epitaph have reached the 8th twilight. And then on the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, none shall be left alive. I will most likely lose my life, but at the very least I want to burn the truth into my eyes. That's the only thing motivating me to move right now. We were able to meet up with Ava, who was having trouble with the lock to the front door. It seemed that all the blood had risen to Ava's head. That was probably making her fingers clumsy. It looked like she couldn't even handle the simple task of inserting the key into the lock. Oh my god, Shion moment. Then there was a faint sound. The sound of the door unlocking, just as though it had waited for all the survivors to unite before opening. It felt to me as though the malicious mansion was trying to swallow up the remaining humans at once. Perhaps the stench that erupted outwards the instant the door opened couldn't be described as just the smell. It wasn't the charred smell from grandfather. I think it also may have contained the regrets of the servants and Dad's group, all of the dead. What did it mean as it floated out, overwhelming us? Was it the cry of the dead telling us not to enter? However, Ava didn't even flinch at something like that, and we who had to chase after her were forced to step into the mansion, even after receiving that message.
ジョージジョージ聞こえたら返事をしなさいジョージ
Ava shouted at the top of her lungs. Considering the situation, it's probably far too optimistic to imagine that he's alive. We started following Ava's example and calling out George's name in loud voices. Ava spotted something and stopped walking. She was standing in front of the door to the parlor.
これは
Is it a big rune or whatever?
南條先生ちょっと来てもらえるかしら
何事ですかな
I'd heard about the eerie magic circles written on doors like the one in the parlor from the adults. Eerie is the only way to describe that thing. True, it's a cross, very eerie, which was scribbled with a deep red paint reminiscent of blood so that it slowly dripped down. However, that had supposedly been there since this morning. Wondering why Aunt Ava, who had supposedly seen it already, would think it odd now, Jessica and I stared at the door.
確かにこんな数字が書かれていた記憶はありません
ええなかったわ不気味な魔法文字みたいなのは書かれていたけど数字は書かれていなかった
From what the two of them said, only the magic circle had been there this morning. However, right now there were 8 digits written near the upper part of the magic circle. 07151129. This is creepy. 07151129. I don't understand. I didn't know what it meant, but I didn't even want to imagine what someone had been thinking when they wrote it. It was drawn with the same paint as the magic circle, but it had clearly been written very recently. The way it had dried on the condition of the color was completely different from the magic circle part.
どうせ魔法的な意味があるんだろうぜ。深く考えたって意味なんかあるわけもないさ。
Jessica intentionally spat those words out in an attempt to push aside the eerie feeling it gave off.
魔法陣というものかもしれませんある種の数字遊びに魔除けが宿るという考え方ですどの列を足しても同じ数字になるみたいなものを皆さんも見聞きしたことがおありでしょう
あれは四角形の中に埋めた数字の話じゃなかったこれは横一列だもの何の意味があるのかさっぱりだわ多分 ジェシカちゃんの言うのが正解よ。私たちが深く考えたところで意味なんか何もないわ。
Even though she had said that, she probably suspected that it actually meant something. Aunt Ava was definitely writing that number down on an old receipt or something that with a short ballpoint pen. Unless it had some obvious pattern, it'd probably be tough to memorize a code made up of an 8-digit number.
これ日にちとかな。
I was thinking that too, I wasn't sure.
日にち？何の話？
いや偶然だろうけどな。
7/15/11/29. Is that when Beato was alive first?
俺の誕生日7月15日なんだ。0715が7月15日を示すのかなって思ったら、1129もほらその11月29日って読んだらちょうど語呂がいいかなって思ってよ。
そして11月29日ってなんだよ。
Oh, thank you. He has the same birthday as Beato? Or maybe the same his birthday is her death day.
俺が知りてえぜ。まあそのたまたまの偶然だろうけどな。そう考えたらなんだか不気味になっちまったぜ。11月29日が誰かの誕生日だったりとかするのか？うちの家族は違うぜ。親父もキリエさんもエンジェも違う。
Because Beato's been dead for, or she's been a witch for about 1,000 years. So that would add up.
もちろん俺のお袋もだ。
Around-ish.
心当たりがありませんな。金蔵さんの誕生日でも源氏さんの誕生日でもないはずだ。
うちの家族も違うわよ。ローザやマリアちゃんでもないわ。
うちの家族だって違うぜ。カノン君も違うし、シャノンも違う。
Yeah, you know about your canon.
私、使用人の人の誕生日にはちゃんとプレゼント渡してるからみんな知っ
Aw,
てるけど。
Jessica, you're so cute giving all the servants presents.
11月29日に誕生日の人間なんて知らないぜ。
My birthday's November 25th. If I stop responding, it's because I fell asleep, but I'm keeping the. Aw, I'm happy you're here, Merc. Don't worry. If you fall asleep, I hope you have really good dreams, and I hope you wake up feeling better if you do. Maybe you just need some sleep to feel better. Hopefully. I'm sorry you're not feeling too good today, but I'm really glad you're here. Once we started imagining that the 8 digits weren't meaningless, but actually 2 dates written together, it really started to look that way. However, its true meaning may be something completely different, or there may be no meaning at all. Oh, I love you too, I love you! Anyway, since we don't have any real clues, it's probably pointless to stand around here worrying about it. The inside of the parlor is much more important. Also, Mark, what you have to make like a... Well, you don't have to, but you should make like a sheet of all your kin so I can see them. Like, you know, like how I have, I like did a page and I put all their pictures together of all my kins. You should do that so I can see all of them when you get the chance. That would be cool. This morning, behind each of the doors with a magic circle drawn on them had been a body of the victim. So if something new has been added to this door, does that mean something new has been added inside the parlor? When Aunt Ava tried to open it, she felt the resistance of the lock. She immediately took out a master key and put it in the keyhole. As soon as she opened the door, Ava let out a high-pitched scream and ran inside. That alone was enough to tell us what had happened inside the room. Dr. Nandro and I looked at each other and shook my head slightly as we entered the parlor.
ジョージ！ジョージ！
Aww.
しっかりして！ジョージ！南條先生、早く！
Hi, Yaku. George Aniki lay there, crumpled alongside Shannon's corpse. His chest was stained bright red, and judging by his still opened eyes, I'd hate to say it to Aunt Ava, but I couldn't pick up any signs of life. After moving to take George's pulse, Dr. Nanjo shook his head, wordlessly reporting that George was dead. Brushing him aside, Ava once again crouched beside George Aniki and started crying at the top of her lungs. With Aniki's death, one thing is certain: the murders hadn't ended on this 8th twilight. The epitaph was being carried out in its complete form, including the 9th twilight, and none shall be left alive. I was really starting to lose track of things. For some reason, Ava's half-crazied cries actually made me cool down. Psychopath Battler arc. Crestfallen and exhausted, I flopped onto the sofa and plunked my feet on top of the table. Maybe all these murders numbed my heart. Instead of just being frightened, I felt completely confused. Dad and Kirie are dead, and people have been killed off one by one, starting with the servants. And there's been a hell of a lot of them by now. I don't know when the first murder happened, but they might have been killed at a rate of about 1 person per hour by now. We believe that the boat will come for us around 9 tomorrow. There's still a full 12 hours until then. How many more sacrifices to the witch will there have to be for us to survive? With the 4 of us, if one goes each hour, we won't last any longer than 4 hours. We won't even know if we'll last until midnight tonight. Well, that's on the Witch Revives. I wonder if when Beatrice revives, she's gonna revive everyone because she gets her powers back. Or if she revives as a human, maybe. I don't know. Yesterday after lunch, we came into this parlor. Just as they started talking about serving some tea Aunt Rosa had bought, we kids decided to take a walk. Maria was jumping around, wasn't she? Didn't Shannon bring us some cookies? She said Kumasawa-san had baked them or something. It would have been hilarious if she baked some mackerel into them, wouldn't it? No, that'd be gross. That's right, I'll never hear Kumasawa Bachan's mackerel jokes again, will I? Oh right, if only I remember stuff about Kuosama Bachan. That wouldn't be, if I only remember stuff about her, it wouldn't be fair to everyone else. Why did Dad and Kide-san even go outside? It's not like going without food for a day would kill us. So why did Gluttony get a hold of them and make them go outside for food? I'll bet that fearless dad of mine just started complaining about being hungry. Kiryu-san, you're supposed to be the brakes for my reckless dad. Why didn't you stop him? And what about your daughter, Ange? She's still 6 years old. Or Angie. Don't tell me you plan to leave her in my care. After all, it's doubtful now whether I'll be able to leave this island alive. Hello, Golden Sorcerer. Yeah, this is Chapter 3. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, they just stumbled up, they just got into the parlor and saw George's body with Shannon. So now Battler is reflecting on everything and is like, oh, everyone's dead.
やめなさい。こんな時に争ってどうするんですか。
Who's fighting?
ジェシカさん、やめなさい。
What? It's been kind of noisy for a while. By the time I looked up to see what it was, Jessica and Ava had suddenly started fighting each other. What? What is happening? No, I maybe should say Jessica was grabbing on Ava. You're what? Maybe you made a typo there. Oh my gosh, Jessica.
他に説明がつかない。何をバカなことを。あんたのお父さんたちなんか知るわけないでしょ。ゲストハウスの1階にいたのは誰だよ。エヴァおばさんだ。1階のロビーには父さんと母さんと、そしてエヴァおばさんがいた。生き残ったのは誰だ。エ おばさんだけだ。どうして？あんたが犯人だからに決まってるじゃないか。父さんと母さんを殺して外へ運び出して白々しく鍵を魔女の仕業なんかを装いやがったんだ。
じゃあジョージはどうしていなくなったのよ。1階には降りてきてないのよ。じゃあ2階でいなくなったっていうの？ 2 階には誰がいたのよ。あなたたちがいたんじゃない。あなたは知ってたんでしょ、ジョージがこっそりゲストハウスを抜け出すのを。それを自分は何も知らないような顔を抜けと、あんたがジョージを止めててくれれば、ジョージは
やめなさいというのに、ジェシカさんはずっといとこ部屋にいました。そしてエヴァさんもずっと1階のロビーにいました。
How would you know, Nanjo?
そして2人とも何も悪くない。
Because you did it?
ただ家族を失って悲しいだけなんです。犯人なんか誰もいない。どこにもいない。
Well, the culprit is Ava Beatrice, actually, but...
ただただ魔女のせいなだけなんです。だからお二人で憎み合うのはやめなさい。
Let me get a drink really quick. Okay, thanks. There's a good riddle at the end of this episode. You hope I'll like it. Oh, I'm excited. We'll have to see. The witch's fault, huh? I wonder if that's a good way to cool down the situation right now. Golden Sorcerer, have you also played Higurashi or just Umineko? Because I've played all of Higurashi and I really loved it. And I really identified with Shion. Shion's literally me. So that's why, and I'm playing Umineko now. And I like it so far. It's very interesting. Yeah, I finally understand why 3 people evaporated from the guest house. When all the doors and windows were locked from the inside. Yes, you played all the When They Cry. Oh, good! Yay! I love them. Who's your favorite character in Higurashi? Or in Umineko, if it's not a spoiler. This is what they were after. Making us think that the culprit was inside, and sparking this ugly mutual hatred. Has to be the culprit's, the witch's goal. But if that's the case, how did the culprit lock it from the outside? When Dad's group was attacked, their master keys were definitely stolen. But the doors and windows to the guest house were built so that you couldn't lock them from the outside no matter how hard you tried. Yeah, in Umineko, but it would be a spoiler. Oh, okay. Well, if I eventually see the character one day and you're around, let me know. Best Higurashi character is Satoko. As a Shion kin, I am a huge Satoko enjoyer. So, hi Blurneko, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm a huge Satoko lover. She's like my little sister. I will protect her for anything. Like, when Shion was going hard in, like, what was it, chapter 8 or so, or whatever, the chapter where they were trying to fight for Satoko, you know, with her abuse and shit. I was like, that's me. I'm like, let me at these bitches. I will fight for her. That's my girl. Like, I need to save my Satoko. Like, Satoko is so precious. So the master key should have nothing to do with the guest house closed room. Jessica and Aunt Ava were turning their sadness at losing their blood relatives into anger at the person in front of them. Dr. Nanjo was trying to step between them, and I sat on the sofa staring up at the ceiling, thinking about things that didn't even matter anymore, with a worn-out expression. I just couldn't believe that this was the same parlor that had been so warm and pleasant midday yesterday, for just that short time before the typhoon hit. Ah! Did Ava just shoot Jessica? What the fuck? You think Rika's your favorite? Ooh. Well, my friend Merc, or Sukrai, is a Rika-kin. She's just like her. I love Rika too. Oh my god, did Ava just fucking shoot Jessica though? Holy fuck. The sudden sound of a gunshot shook me out of my half-asleep trance. Smoke was right. Oh my god, she just fucking shot her! What the fuck? Smoke was rising out of the barrel that Ava had. A gun. Blah blah blah. Whatever, you know what I meant. Jessica had fallen to the floor and was covering both her eyes. Wait, she shot her in the eyes? Aunt Ava and Dr. Nanjo were looking down at her in shock.
大丈夫ですかジェシカさんジェシカさん
Holy fuck. Ava, go fuck yourself, you stupid bitch. Yeah, the music's going hard. Wow, that's some serious cope. You shot a kid because she was hitting you because she was emotional after her parents died? Are you kidding me? Ava, that cope.
おいおいどうしたってんだ何事なんだ
So did Jessica grab Aunt Ava, which turned into a scuffle? Did they start fighting over Aunt Ava's gun? Did some kind of impact cause the trigger to be pulled? I didn't know if the bullet had grazed her or if she'd been burned by the discharge, but either way, Jessica was covering both of her eyes, screaming, it hurts, rolling around the floor.
大丈夫落ち着いて大した怪我ではありませんぞ気をしっかり
Oh my god, she has asthma and she can't see? Double homicide. Dr. Nanjo let Jessica borrow his shoulder, saying that he would tend to her in the servant room. The servant room in this mansion had a bed and a first aid kit and was able to function as an infirmary.
父さんと母さんの仇殺してやる殺してやる私じゃないわよ私じゃない
ジェシカさん傷に触りますからそれ以上騒がないでさあ使用人室に行きましょう
Ikimasho. Oh, you think chapter 3 is the best in the question arcs? Yeah, Ava... I really liked Ava up until this point. Although, I don't know, Ava, I'm so up and down with her. It's like, she has... just like everyone in the series, she has so many good and bad points. Like... Jessica continued to curse Ava as her parents' murder. It seemed that Ava couldn't conceal her trembling at the fact that she had pulled the trigger, even if it had been an accident.
私のせいじゃないわよ
True.
あの子が掴みかかってきたからこんなことに私は殺してなんかないわよ
Ava...
それよりジョージは誰が殺したのそうよジョージは誰が殺したのよジョージジョージ私は悪くない私は悪くない
待てよエヴァおばさん一人になるな
I didn't know if it was because Ava couldn't bear her mistake, or if she'd given up control of her body to anger at the person who had killed her only son. Or if it was both of those mixed all together. At any rate, she ran into the corridor, yelling, fearful, and screaming. I was also worried about Jessica's condition, but right then I couldn't leave Ava alone. Why would she go off on her own in this mansion of all places? Is she suicidal? Dr. Nanjo took Jessica towards the servant room. I chased after Ava, dashing into the depths of the mansion. Wow. Quite a lot is going on right now. After sitting Jessica on the servant room bed, Nanjo told her several times not to touch her eyes and examine the affected area. The barrel had probably been near her eyes. There was a possibility that flames from the discharge had injured her corneas. There was no threat to her life, but it would probably be necessary to take her to a doctor as soon as possible. I can't believe she literally just got shot. Like, that's actually insane. Like, what the fuck? Nanjo applied emergency first aid, covering the affected area with gauze and wrapping it with a bandage. As a result, Jessica completely lost her field of vision.
いいですかな。傷が痛んだりうずいたりするでしょうが、明日になったらすぐに眼科の先生のところへ行きましょう。
あいつね、本当は私を殺すつもりだったんだ。ほんのちょっと角度が悪かったら今頃殺されてた。絶対にあいつを警察へ突き出してやる。
エヴァさんはそんなことはしませんぞ。
At least she's thinking about turning her into the police and not killing her.
あれは事故です。
Nanjo, shut the fuck up.
事故なもん
Shot
か。
that. She shot her.
あいつが父さんと母さんを殺したんだ。
I know Ava didn't kill Natsuhi and Kraus, but she fucking shot her,
こ
dude.
の島には19人目も魔女もいるわけがない。あいつが全ての犯人なんだ。ゲストハウスの1階にはあいつだけがいた。父さんと母さんを殺し、それを見てしまったジョージ兄さんも口封じに殺したに違いない。じいさまや使用人の人たちだってそうさ。きっとあいつは夕べの親族会議の途中でこっそり抜け出し、みんなを殺したに違いない。
もしそうならば警察が調べればすぐにわかることです。警察はすごいですぞ。鑑識の手にかかればわからぬことなどありません。私たちは誰かを疑ったり恨んだりする必要などないのです。すべて警察が解決してくれます。
Yeah, the police don't do shit, but okay.
だからジェシカさんは今は体を休め、
Especially if it's fucking
目を楽にすること
Oishi-san.
に
I hate
専
that
念するので
bitch.
す。
I hate him.
あまり眉間にシワを寄せては目にはもちろん美容にもよくありませんぞ。
When Jessica's abuse of Ava had reached a crescendo, she actually had started glaring instinctively, and the pressure on her eyes had hurt her. Jessica herself realized the more she talked, the more the wound would hurt her. Regardless of if she'd overcome her suspicions of Ava, she regained her composure for the time being.
あいつが殺したんだ。父さんや母さん、シャノンやカノン君を。
Aw, Cannon. She wants her Cannon. She heard that Cannon had been killed in the chapel. Oh my god, this music is so sad. Jessica still hadn't seen his face after he died. Her bubby. Ugh, I want her and Cannon to be together so fucking badly. I need them together already. I just want them to hug. Oh, I need it. Jessica was now less fearful about the fact that she was blinded, and more frightened that the police would carry Cannon's body away while she still couldn't see, and that she would have to say her final farewell without being able to look at his face. Her anger at the culprit and her sadness at the depth of the person she'd liked. Those mixed emotions started her crying, but now the tears were actually painful for her, so she wasn't even permitted to leisurely remember his face in bygone days. Jessica could do nothing but sit on the bed and let her head droop, withstanding the pain.
さて、今度はエヴァさんの方が心配です。気に病まれていなければいいのですが。
Realizing that Jessica had calmed down for the time being and letting out a sigh, he stuck his head out in the hallway to look for any sign of the others coming back. Oh, fuck. Then their eyes met. Nanjo, unable to understand who this person was bewildered for an instant.
視力を失った人間って反魔法力も対魔法抵抗力もゼロになるんですって。つまり今のあんたはアイソレーテッドポーン。意味がわかるかしら。
なんですと？
Nanjo had no way of understanding who the person in front of him was, much less what she had just said.
南條先生、どうしたんです？
Unable to see, Jessica had to rely on voices alone to make out the situation. But since she heard Nanjo say something in an uneasy tone, she tightened up, thinking that something bad might have happened.
やめてくれ殺さないでくれわしには病弱の孫がおる
He has a sick grandchild, really?
ここでは死ねんのだ
Interesting. So we learned something about
頼
him.
む見逃してくれ
南條先生
So Nanjo has kids too?
南條先生
Jessica couldn't do anything except call out from the bed. Judging from the tone of his voice, Nanjo was in the corridor confronting someone, and he was scared. His life must have been threatened just a second ago.
よせ
第9の晩に魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。
God, what a face. The witch pointed the end of her gold staff at Nanjo, even though he didn't know what she was planning to do. Nanjo assumed that she must be trying to take his life.
南條先生南條先生そこに誰がいるんだよ返事をしろよ
やめてくれ
Bang! A sharp sound echoed. And just as sharply, the tip of the golden staff tapered and stretched, slicing into Nanjo's forehead. Jessica, who could only try to grasp what happened with her ears, had no clue what was going on. Things are not looking good. Yeah, they're all fucked. But even so, she was able to realize with that sound Nanjo had died, and so she could tell that the person was now in the corridor right in front of the servant room. Furthermore, since she couldn't see, she wouldn't be able to run away, much less resist. Knowing that she was a mouse in a trap in a life or death situation, Jessica shuddered.
ああ、ジェシカ、かわいそうにね。目を怪我しちゃったのね。なら、あなたは逃げることもできないわね。今から南條の死体でたっぷり遊ぶわ。
Jeez.
それに飽きたら、次はあなたを殺してたっぷり遊んであげる。いいえ、せっかく目が見えないんだもの。殺してからだけじゃない。殺す前にもたっぷり遊んであげるわね。そこでしばらく震えながら待ってなさいね。
So there was a gunshot.
南條の死
Interesting.
体で私がどんな風に遊ぶのかをたっぷり想像しながら。
Jessica was struck with fear and let out a frail scream. She wanted to scream in a much louder voice, trying to get someone to help her, but she couldn't. When faced with true fear, it clogged up a person's throat. Right then, Jessica could barely even breathe.
助けて助けて
She searched around with her hands, trying to find some way to escape, but even though she should have known this room well, just being unable to see made it like a closed room with darkness. She ran to a shelf or something, and things like candy jars and bottles fell down, hitting her on the head. Aww. As she was now, it would have been tough for her to even guard her head to block it. She was painfully aware of how powerless humans had become just by losing their sense of sight. Of course, she had no time to be impressed by this fact. She crawled around at random, trying to escape from that place. But she kept bumping into things that she didn't understand, getting hit by various falling objects, and it felt like the entire room was alive, bullying her and refusing to let her escape. Then a footstep could be heard from that presence in the hallway, and then a voice. She'd probably poked her head into the room since Jessica had been so loud.
にぎやかね。レディーならおとなしくベッドに座って待っていなさい。令状にふさわしい素敵な真っ赤な死に装束を与えてやるんだから。あなたを見つけた人が失神してしまいそうになるくらいのね。
Until just a second ago, she had sworn that she'd killed the culprit if she found them. However, she was now very powerless. She couldn't do anything except let out a scream, crawling around on the floor and bumping her head into the bed and the legs of the desk. Poor Jessica, oh my god. Is Cannon gonna help her? In the corridors, the witch thought of how to tour with Nanja's life. A single gold butterfly secretly watched that scene from the corridor of the hallway. It was Beato, who had barely escaped with her life once before. The gold butterfly softly returned to human form. It was a faint and transparent like a lace curtain. By now her power was so weak that even maintaining this form was difficult for her. Right next to her, Ronove also appeared.
ジェシカも生き残れはしないでしょう。もとより誰も生き残れはしませんが。
あやつはカノンに恋心を寄せており、わらわはそれをもてあそんだこともある。しかしそれは魔女として恥ずべきことである。
愛とは異なる元素。恋心はそれ以上に純粋で尊いものでございます。なぜかお嬢様はとてもそれを嫌われますが。
お師匠様は言った。魔法とは人を幸せにするためにあると。わらわもかつてはそれを知っていたはずだった。そしてそれを忘れた時から、だからわらわはバトラの対戦相手の資格を失っていたのだ。
まさかお嬢様ジェシカを助けるおつもりですか。危険です。
分かってる。どうせ助けても黄金鏡の扉が開けば魔女の宴の慰み者よ。しかしそれでもあやつの殺し方に比べれば数段慈悲深い。魔女の宴は恐るべき方法にて命を奪う生死をもてあそばる。しかしあやつは違う。
What do I think of Beato in this chapter? Well, I like Beato, and I ship her with Rosa really hard. I think her and Rosa would go so well together, and they'd take care of Maria better, and she'd teach her how to not be abusive, and Rosa would show her the world, and it'd be so cute. But I think it's really good that Beato's learning, and like, I want her and Battler to work together. Maybe she'll teach him magic so that he can revive Kirie and Rudolph one day or something. Or maybe he can revive his mom, I don't know.
何度でも殺す。
Probably not though. But I like Beato. I've always liked Beato, but I felt conflicting emotions when she, you know, goes really evil.
そこにはわずかほどの慈悲もない。わらわはせめてジェシカをそのような残酷な運命から救いたいと思う。
確かにそれを行うことは良き魔女として称えられることでしょう。しかし新しきベアトリーチェ様はすでにお嬢様のことを敵視なされています。もう一度姿を見られることがあったなら今度は逃れる術はありません。
ジョージをシャノンに合わせた時、わらわはようやく魔女とはどういうものなのか、そして魔法とはどういうものなのかを。ビッグ・わらわは魔女だ。魔女であらねばならぬ。
Cute.
そしてバトラに対戦相手だと認められる。今度こそバトラに魔女だと認めさせなければならぬのだ。そのための道は。
If any of you have seen Seven Deadly Sins, the pig in it always says kondokuso, kondokuso, kondokuso. So whenever I hear someone see it, I always think of that. I think of kondokuso, kondokuso.
しかし今ここでその一歩を踏み出さねば。わらわは魔女を
お気持ちはわかりますが、どうやってお救いになるつもりです？ 今のお嬢様の身に使える魔法は多くありません。シャノンを蘇らせる時ですらジョージの力を借りたではありませんか。
だからこそジェシカだけは救えるかもしれぬのだ。今あやつはカノンに助けを求めている。その思いの力を借りればわらわの魔力にてもう一度冥府の扉を
叩けはするでしょう。しかし魔力を使い切ります。新しきベアトリーチェ様にもし見つかったら本当に逃れる術はありませんよ。私はすでにお嬢様の執事ではありません。いざという時お助けすることはできませんのでご了承。
承知しておるわ。わらわはこれまで数えることもできぬほどの命をもてあそぶ。ならばその罪
Aww,
同じ数だけの命を救うことでしか
that's so cute.
あがないのかもしれん。もとよりわらわに失うものなどないわ。名も魔力の引き継ぎ。今や魔女とも認められぬ。
No, don't think of yourself like that.
バトラ様はどうなさるのですか。ゲームの途中です。彼はお嬢様がお戻りになるまで待つとおっしゃる。ここで果てるようなことがあっても良いのですか。お嬢様にはバトラ様の向かいの席に戻る義務があるのですよ。
だからこそだ。わらわにしか救えぬ命があるならばそして魔女と認められるぞ。わらわは魔女にならねばならぬのだ。これが試練であるならばこれまでの悪行に見合わぬ幼稚なものよ。さあ姿を消せ。かつて黄金の魔女と呼ばれた一匹の蝶が最後となるかもしれぬ魔法を見るがいい。
かしこまりました。黄金の魔女の名に恥じぬ魔法拝見させてもらいます。願わくばそれが最後の魔法とならぬこと。
行け我が友よ。
Aw, she called him her friend.
もしインクが足りるなら我が愚かなる生涯を記して
Aww.
同じさらばだ。ロノウ。
Ito.
くどこにいるの。どこにいるの。助けてよ。お嬢様、
I knew it!
僕はいつだってお
Her
嬢様の
knight
す
in
ぐそばに
shining
控えておりま
armor.
す。
It's her baba.
カノン君
It seemed to Jessica as though she'd heard Cannon's voice just then. She looked around with unseeing eyes, but of course she saw nothing. On the contrary, that caused her head to hit the desk again. Oh, I ship her and Cannon so fucking hard.
助けて。
Just fucking hug her already.
はい、お嬢様、僕がお助けします。カノン君、生きてたの。
This time she thought she heard his voice clearly. Jessica jumped up in surprise, banging her head against the desk once again.
お嬢様、どうか心を落ち着けてお聞きください。残念ながら僕は生きてはいません。僕はすでに死んでしまっています。ですが あの魔女がお嬢様の危機を僕に知らせに来ました。そしてわずかの間だけお嬢様に手助けできる時間をくれました。どうか心をもっと落ち着けて、そうすればお嬢様にも僕の姿が見えるようになります。
Jessica obeyed those words. She chased all idle thoughts from her head and relaxed her breathing. Of course, her heart felt like it was going to explode after hearing the voice of the one she'd loved and had thought was dead. She resisted the excitement with all her strength. When she did, she felt as though Canon-kun was right in front of her. Even though she shouldn't have been able to see him with her eyes, she was able to sense him clearly.
僕が見えますか、お嬢様。 見えるぜ。確かにカノン君が見えるよ。僕は魂だけの存在です。だから
Oh no, they can't touch each other. They can't
こうし
hug.
て言葉をかけることしかできない。それだけしかできないか弱い存在ですが、それでもお嬢様の力になれるはずです。言葉だけなの？カノン君に
Aww.
触ることはできないの？僕は今ろうそくの煙よりも儚い存在で、聖者であるお嬢様に触れられればたちまちかき消えてしまうほどに。だからどうか触れようとしないでください。僕もお嬢
Oh,
様
oh
に
my
触
god,
れたい気持ち
my heart.
を抑え
Stop! I can't! My whole heart is exploding. Ah!
よく聞いてください。新しい黄金の魔女は残酷な心の持ち主です。
Oh, my heart. I know, it's such a good emotional
必
part.
ずやお嬢様をひどい目に遭わせようとするでしょう。この部屋から逃げ出し隠れなければなりません。どうやって私は目が見えない。静かに僕がお嬢様の目になります。僕がかける言葉に従って動いてください。まずそのまま3歩這い出て、それから立ち上がってください。今お嬢様がいるのは机の下です。そのまま立てば頭をぶつけます。机の下だったのか。分かったよ。1、2、3、立つぜ。お上手です。次は時計で言う9時の方向を向いてください。はい、お上手です。なんだか恥ずかしいぜ。大丈夫ですか？傷が痛みますか？いや、平気だぜ。次は
Jessica thought that if this was a dream, she didn't want to wake up. Aww, and if she were allowed to, she would have wanted to take off the bandage covering her eyes and see him. However, if she did that, Cannon might vanish like a frail candle smoke, just like he himself said. She was afraid of that. So she satisfied herself with just listening to his words once more, repressing her desire to see him, to hold him. Therefore, what hurt her eyes now were tears of gratitude for the god, or maybe the witch who had given her this miraculous moment.
大丈夫なの？こんなに喋ってあいつに気づかれない？声を聞かれない？隠密の結界を張っています。大きな音や声を出さなければ誰も気づきません。だから誰も僕の気配には気づけない。なんだかわからないけど、とにかく静かにしてれば大丈夫ってことなんだな。次はどうするんだ？そのままゆっくり10歩ほどを歩いてください。ソファーに触ります。それに沿って進んでください。ゆっくりと落ち着いて僕の言葉を信じて。目が見えないってのはあんなにも怖いものだった。
Aww,
カノン君と一緒だと。
he's so
そう
cute.
それがソファーで
She just fucking ignores it. I can't.
左になぞり
That's
ながら
so canon to just keep talking. I can't
すぐ
with
左
him.
にテーブルがあります
He just fucking ignores it.
すねをぶつけないように気をつけて
It was a very, very strange and bizarre team effort. Even though she would have been killed in an instant if the terrible witch noticed her, there was no fear in her heart. She was being protected and guided by Canon, someone she thought she'd never be reunited with. It would probably just be a momentary miracle. Even so, Jessica was deeply grateful for it. If she hoped for too much, she was sure that he would disappear, so she tried not to ruin this faint miracle. And trying to engrave in this moment into her heart for eternity, she slowly, slowly continued to walk, obeying Canon's voice.
さあさらに10歩歩けば使用人室から出ますそしたら9時の方向を向いてゆっくりとずっと歩いてください右の壁に手を置きそれに沿ってずっとずっと僕が安全な部屋までお連れします
そこに行ったらカノン君は帰っちゃうの？
Canon didn't answer, but his lack of an answer was enough to tell her the truth.
なら行きたくないよ
ここにいれば魔女に殺されます
殺されればカノン君のいる世界へ行けるもん
Aww.
お嬢様どうか聞き分けてください死者である僕には人の世は眩しくて辛すぎるだから長くはとどまれませんだからお嬢様僕に許された時間でお嬢様を安全な場所まで導くことをそしたら時間が尽きるまでずっとお嬢様と一緒にいますから
それがカノン君にできる精一杯なの？
はいその代わり1秒でも長くずっとお嬢様といて
どんなお話？
どんなお話がいいですか
カノン君が聞かせてくれるならどんな話でもいいよ
では勇気のない臆病な使用人の少年の話を太陽のように眩しいお嬢様に恋心を
Oh
抱
my
き
god.
同じ気
Stop.
持ちを打ち明けられながらも
As radiant as the sun, my heart.
臆病さに負けついに生
I'm
ある
gonna
うちに
cry.
なら私もしたいよ
This is so
大好
cute.
きな男の子にね勇気を振り絞れなかった臆病な女の子の話をそしてその男の子に再会できる奇跡をその勇気を振り絞る機会をもう一度与えてもらった女の子が
僕もその話を聞きたいですだからそのためにも行きましょう安全な場所まで
カノン君と一緒ならいつまでだってどこまでだって歩くよもう目なんていらないカノン君が踏み出せと言うなら崖の先へだって一歩を踏み出すよ
ありがとうさあお嬢様参りますよ最初の10歩
いやジェシカって呼んでくれなきゃ
Oh, she's so cute.
やだ
わかりましたではジェシカ最初の10歩を踏み出して
カノン君
Oh, so cute. Very quietly, Jessica and Cannon slowly snuck out of the servant room. Just around the corner, the witch could be seen cruelly looking down at Nanjo's corpse, but she didn't even notice their presence. However, Ronove, who stood at the ready by her side, met Cannon's eyes. Cannon thought, oh no, grimacing and blocking Jessica with his back. However, Ronove did not inform his master. He played dumb, just as though he hadn't spotted Cannon in the first place. No, maybe he did appear to chuckle. From a finger on Ronove's hands, which were joined behind his back, a small single gold butterfly appeared, flying in front of Cannon as though guiding him. It went unnoticed by the master he served. Kanan was surprised at the magic the butterfly held, because it was far more powerful than the secrecy barrier Kanan possessed. He may not have known it, but that power of his had originally been Ronove's. Kanan's ability was an imitation of that, which Kinzo had made and given to him. Oh, so Ronove's helping him. Cute. As that butterfly of secrecy magic scattered gold scales, it grew smaller bit by bit. It probably wouldn't last long, but without a doubt, even that would buy them enough time to get them far away from the cruel witch.
さあ、お嬢様、その壁に沿い、ずっと歩いていきましょう。ずっと、ずっと。
カノン君と一緒ならどこまでもずっとずっと。
Led and protected by the small gold butterfly, the pair, separated by the wall of life and death, slowly walked away towards the end of the corridor. There was no way that the evil witch could have had magic to notice their flight. Until they disappeared at the other end of the corridor, the witch didn't realize that Jessica had vanished. By the time the gold butterfly Ronove had sent evaporated completely, Jessica had reached the parlor. Even though it would have been a quick trip if she'd been able to see it as it was now, it had been a very long adventure.
さあ、お嬢様、客間にたどり着きました。これからお嬢様を窓際のカーテンの束のところまでお連れします。その中に隠れればきっと安全です。
カーテンの中か。うまいな。私も昔よくそこに隠れたもんだぜ。
ベアトリーチェ様。
Cannon called out the witch's name. Jessica looked around in surprise, but she obviously couldn't spot the witch when she couldn't see. Bito had appeared once again with a faint form. Cannon squared off against the figure of the evil witch, but Bito's expression was soft or even pitying.
どういう気まぐれで僕を蘇らせてくれたのか。僕にはあなたの気持ちがわからない。
気まぐれに過ぎぬ。いや、魔女とはこうあるべきなのだ。わらわがそれを気づくのに1000年をかけた。それだけの。愚かしい。
誰がいるの？お嬢様、お静かに。彼女は魔女。僕をお嬢様にもう一度会わせてくれた恩人です。
魔女ベアトリーチェ。
わらわのことなど、それより早くその女をカーテンの陰に隠すがよい。そなたに残された時間もジェシカと最後の語らいに費やすがいい。カーテンの束の中で密会とはそなたらもなかなか味な真似を。
He's so funny.
ありがとうベアトリーチェ。カノン君に会わせてくれてありがとう。
Jessica didn't know where Beato was, so she said that while facing the wrong direction. Perhaps because she found that funny, Beato snickered.
あとは愛し合う二人にこの部屋を譲る。邪悪なる魔女に恋話は不要。退出させてもらおう。
ベアトリーチェ様、ありがとうございます。
礼などいらぬ。こんなのでは償いきれぬほど悪行を重ねておることを。
良き魔女には感謝を選別とします。今までがどうであったか、そしてこれからがどうであるかは知らない。しかし今あなたは間違いなく良
Aww.
き魔女だ。
おべっかが過ぎるぞ。次に会うときは期待を裏切らぬ悪しき魔女であるかもしれぬぞ。それではさらばだ。
Beata left the parlor and closed the door, and mustering the last of her remaining magical power, she sealed the door. The fact that those two had escaped into here would eventually be noticed, and now that the ninth twilight had been reached, no matter how much they struggled, their inescapable fate had already been decided. However, until that final moment, they should be given a chance to speak with each other of their love. The witch poured all of her magical power to protect their time together. Aw, Beato. I'm gonna cry, like literally. I've been like almost crying a few times in this chapter. so that no one would be able to defile their time alone until the last possible moment. At that time, Byato noticed something. Her body had been detected by a magical searching technique. The evil witch's furniture had sniffed out this place out.
無粋なるは魔女のゆえんか。若き二人に恋を語らせる気もなしとは。
45データ受領。
No.
標的照合。仙台ビアトリーチェ卿と確認。百魔防御壁を解析。多層防御壁72層。構成防壁および魔法反応走行100万への狙撃は不可能。
Yeah, 45 is literally me.
410へデータリンク。
She's me!
410データ受領。
They're both cute. I like both of them though.
じゃあ仙台様を先に殺しちゃえばいいだけの話だに。大ベアトリーチェ卿攻撃許可を。撃ってちょうだい。ああ、急所は外してね。バーバーに聞きたいことがあるの。410射撃。にひ。
The Chester sisters' gold bow released a gold snake. It crawled down the corridor, starting from the front of the servant room, aiming for the parlor as it drew a soft, snake-like curved line trajectory. And pierced Beato's chest. No, Beato. Gold butterflies gathered, and the cruel witch appeared along with her furniture.
仙台様、二度もの妨害、もはや許されませんぞ。
しかしシエスタ姉妹も腕が落ちたものよ。わらわを仕留め損なうとはな。それも二度も。
Ronove spoke in a manner befitting the witch's butler. As she pushed her pain aside, Beato grinned and spoke back.
申し訳ありません、仙台様。
She's me!
急所を外せとのご命令です。ご指示があればすぐにでも貫きますとも。ピアスの穴でもおへその穴でもお好きな穴を。にひ。
The gold snake that had pierced Beatrice grew even longer, drawing a funnel-shaped helix and awaiting its next order. It was prepared to pierce a vital spot as soon as the evil witch told it to.
残忍にかけてはわらわも一歩を取るそなたがどういう風の吹き回しか。新しきベアトリーチェ。
聞きたかったのよ。どういう術で逃れたのか知らないけど、私たちはあんたを仕留めたつもりでいたのよ。まさか若い二人をかばうためだけに戻ってきたわけ？
さーてな
さっきだってそうよ。どうして恋人たちを蘇らせて再会なんて。あ、聞けば聞くほどにあなたは私なんて足元にも及ばない邪悪の権化。そのあなたがどうして急にそんな生ぬるいことを始めたのかって、それを聞きたかったのよ。
残忍ゆえにわらわは気まぐれ。それを問うことに意味などあろうか。
シエスタ姉妹？ヌエ。
And she ordered that the gold snake that was curled in a helix and suspended in space moved as fast as a real snake going after its prey, and pierced Beato's body multiple times from both sides, its gold tail drawing an X shape. No, my Beato! As the cruel witch had ordered, it drew a cross stitch through Beato's chest. The gold thread made a squeaking sound that tormented Beato. Rather than a gold snake searching for its prey, it waited for orders like a sewing needle ready to sew Beato.
あんたに限って気まぐれなんてあるわけがない。あんたのことを聞いたわ。そして知ったわ。あんたは私ですら足元にも及ばない。私はそんなあなたに実にふさわしい後継者だと思ったの。なのにあなたは邪魔ばかり。ぬるいことばかり言って私を呆れさせる。何があなたを変えたの？ 1000年間邪悪の限りを尽くしたあなたに、その1000年を翻すような何が起こったのか、それだけを知りたく。
知りたくそなたも1000年を費やすがよいぞ。
Oh my gosh, this shot. Also, a Wooga. She has Kinza's the ring on her finger, I noticed that.
ヌエ。
Oh, Beato. Beato's chest is once again sewn with a golden cross stitch. It tightened once again, squeezing fresh blood from Beato's chest. The intense pain it caused ran in conflict with its beauty to the eye.
あんたもひょっとすると死ぬと消えちゃって死体が残らないタイプかもしれないわね。だからあなたをゆっくりと殺すわ。でも私の質問に正直に答えられたら楽に殺してあげる。先代様にぴったりの華麗で豪華で優しい死を与えてあげる。水を張りバラで埋めた棺桶に沈めてあげるわ。素敵でしょ。それでも話せないの？あなたの心変わりの理由。
聞かれたことを答えぬもまた邪悪なる魔女の優越よ。
ヌエ2つ。もちろん答えてくれなくていいの。だってそうやっていじめてるんだもの。無限の魔法は本当に素晴らしいわ。思えばこの世はすべからく有限。人の世に無限などありはしない。それは神が無限であるがゆえに人の世を見下すため全ての無限を取り上げたからよ。なればつまり無限の遊べば遊ぶほどにさらに楽しい遊び方を見つけられる素敵な力。その力を1000年も思うがままに使い暴れ回ったあなたがなぜ今頃になって心変わりをしたの？まさか私に譲ったから惜しくなってとかじゃないわよね。
惜しいものか。そなたがそうだと信じている無限の魔法など魔法に真の魔法の力とはそなたなどでは到底至れぬ深淵にあるのだ。
それに気づいたから？それは何？
Love, right?
それに気づけず1000年をさまよえ愚かな魔女よ。
ヌエ今度は3つ。
Poor Beato. Beato's chest had been embroidered with the golden thread. It tightened even more, causing Beato more and more pain.
まあいいわ。死に損ないのババアが何を達観したかなんてもう飽きたからあっさり殺してあげるわ。あんたを殺せば客間の結界は解ける。そしたらカノンとジェシカもたっぷりいじめ殺して愛し合う2人を同時におもちゃにできるなんてこれは楽しそうよね。殺せ。
Without missing by a millimeter, the golden sewing thread shot through Beato's heart. I'm gonna cry. That intense pain was worse than all the pain before that put together. Beato finally remembered the actual feeling of dying, which she had forgotten over the course of 1,000 years. But she couldn't die. She must not die. If she died, it would mean handing over the two in the parlor to the cruel witch. So she definitely couldn't die. Resolutely, there we go, refused to die.
新しきベアトリーチェ頼みがある。客間の2人の仰せは 砂時計で測れる程度の時間でカノンは冥府へ消えるだろう。その程度の時間どうか許してはくれぬか。
ビエト。
嫌よ。愛し合う二人を引き裂くのって楽しいんでしょ。あなたが言ったわ。だから私やってみたいの。
ならばその快楽貴様に味わわせるわけにはいかぬ。楽しいぞ、恋人たちを引き裂くのは。
そうやね、きっと楽しいわよね。だから邪魔しないで。もっと縫え縫え縫え縫え。にひ410了解。
The merciless gold sewing needles sewed through the gold thread, sewed the gold thread through Beatrice's heart over and over again. However, no matter how much it tightened, the heart did not stop.
まだまだこの程度では死んではやれぬ。
何をしてるの？このババアのおしゃべりを止めなさい。早く殺すのよ。殺してます。何度も心臓を縫い止めてるのに、こいつの心臓止まらないんです。あんた不死身なの？
まさかそなたに無限は譲り渡した。鼓動を刻める数など。だがそれを一つ余計に刻むことでその程度の抵抗を永遠に続けようぞ。
縫え！
Aww.
こいつの心臓が動きを止めるまで縫い続けよ。
Epilepsy warning for real.
なんでこいつ死なないの？ありえない。心臓を縫い縛ってるの。なんで止まらないの？ならいいや、心臓を内側から爆破してやるに。かわいそうに逆らわなければ綺麗に死ねたのに。
As they said that, even the gold needle and thread made round trips over and over, Beato still didn't die. The cruel witch eventually grew pale at how bizarre that was.
お前一体何者なの？
そなたにはわらわのわかだ。どうやらこれが本当の魔法というものだ。つまりわらわは今こそ
Become a witch.
本当の魔女になった。
心臓内部で爆心固定。瞬間準備よし。爆破！
Beato. Witches, man. There was a terrible sound, and the gold leaf was scattered around the area, along with a cloud of golden butterflies. Pieto's chest had opened wide from the inside, and from that the gold butterflies and gold leaf poured out, staining the surrounding area gold. Then Pieto's flesh crumpled. Like a puppet whose strings had been cut, she crouched down and crumpled. However, a gold heart tied by gold threads floated in the air and continued to beat.
そんな化け物だ。
When the Chiester's sisters saw that, they fell on their butts in shock. Somehow, even though Beato had become nothing more than a heart, it still kept beating, continuing to protect the barriers of the parlor. It was an immeasurably vast magical power, impossible to measure. In other words, endless.
無限の魔女は私でしょ。なんでこのババアこんなになっても生きてんのよ。シエスタ姉妹、あの心臓を砕くのよ。早く。無理です。申し訳ありません。私たちにはできません。
無理でしょう。 何人たりともあの心臓を打ち砕けはし、竜王陛下の兵士風情ではとてもとても。
なら無限の魔女である私になら打ち砕けるということ。私の力は神の力だもの。
恐れながらあなた様の力ではベアトリーチェ様の無限には傷一つつけられません。
それはどういう意味よ。
影を知らずして光がないように、有限を知らずして無限もまたなし。ベアトリーチェお嬢様の真の無限の力の前にあなた。
何よそれ。
The Crow Witch was surprised and stepped back. It was thinner than a lace curtain, but Beatrice's form, no, Beatrice's form was standing there. Even after being laid bare so tragically like this, she refused to let evil through that door. At that time, a shadow just as thin as Beatrice stood behind her. It was Canon.
ベアトリーチェ様、ありがとうございました。このご恩は忘れません。はい、本当にありがとうございました。そしてベアトリーチェ様ももう大丈夫です。
I'm gonna cry.
お楽になさってください。
何よ、なんであんたたちは先代のババアをベアトリーチェと呼ぶのよ。ベアトリーチェは私の名前でしょ。新しき黄金の魔女、そして無限の魔女である私の名前。
無礼な、ベアトリーチェ様の名を語るな。
恐れながらベアトリーチェ様の名は無限の魔女を冠せられる。今や先代はあなた様を指すもの。
と
さらばだ、カノ。どうせすぐに出会うさ、新しき悪夢でな。
新しい夜の悪夢にて再びベアトリーチェ様のもとも。これで失礼いたします。
Cannon's form grew faint, and he disappeared into thin air. After watching him go, Beatrice's form also grew faint, and before disappearing, it slumped over onto the floor. Then there was a splat. The golden heart that had been floating in midair lost its sparkle, became blood-stained flesh, and fell to the ground. How frail it was. Goodbye, Cannon and Beatrice. It was ragged and full of holes, but until a moment ago it had sparkled so much, had continued to beat so forcefully. The heart had still barely managed to beat. However, it was only a matter of time before it stopped. Beatrice, whose form had become fragile and faint like incense smoke, lay on the floor, steadily watching her own heart. There the Crow Witch could be seen.
何が無限よ。現にこうしてぶっ倒れてるじゃない。有限のある無限なんてそんな矛盾存在するわけもない。これがあんたの魔法の限界なのよ。有限は無限に劣る。
Well, there is such thing as a finite amount of infinity, because there's an infinite amount of numbers between 1 to 2, but 1 to 2 is finite. Just saying. Beatrice no longer had the will to respond. No, on the contrary, it was doubtful that the words of the Cruel Witch even reached her ears.
あんたが本当に無限の魔女なら立ち上がってみなさいよ。どう？立てないでしょ？どうして立てないと思う？あんたが無限の魔女じゃないからよ。
The cruel witch poked Beatrice's heart with her fingernail. Beatrice had no words with which to respond to that provocation. However, instead of words, she returned a single expression. It felt humiliating only to the cruel witch, because she had gently curved her mouth and smiled. Footsteps were approaching that place. There was no way she had misheard it. That rough squeaking of heels was the sound of Battler's footsteps.
バトラか。偉そうなことを言っても、わらわはこのざまよ。そなたの言う本当の魔女というのを、わらわなりに
ああ、見てたぜ。
なあ、
Oh, look at her.
これでわらわは魔女に
I'm gonna
なれ
cry.
たかな。そなたの対戦相手の資格できたかな。
Beatrice. Oh, honey.
ダメだな。
Butler. I'm gonna cry. Why would you say that? She's trying so hard. I'm like literally crying right now. Butler said it unbelievably bluntly. As Beatrice breathed painfully, she saw this and sneered at herself as though she should have expected it. Oh, what the hell?
本当の魔女への道はまだまだ険しいな。だがわらわは屈しぬぞ。そなた、わらわの才並みに決して屈しなかったよ。必ず
Why doesn't he forgive her already?
本
She's
当の魔女
trying
にな
so
って
hard.
そなたの対戦相手に認められてやる。
ああ、ダメだな。全然ダメだ。
Why are you saying that?
お前は俺の対戦相手じゃない。
Why is he being like that? The cruel witch raised her foot high. Below it was Beatrice's fair heart.
死ねよババア。ぐちゃっと潰れて、それでも無限が示せるってんなら示してごらんなさいよ。魔女は私よ。黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェは私なのよ。死ね
ああ、ダメだ。全然ダメだ。
ここは
席につけ。俺の対戦相手はベアトじゃない。てめえだ。
I kind of want to pause here and leave this for next time and switch to another game because it's been 2 hours and 40 minutes. I've been playing this for a long time. I kind of want to switch over.